Hey, welcome back to Handmade Highland. My name's Dawn and today we're going to be talking about these guys. So this is the 20-ounce mini Stanley Dupe, or effectively the baby brother of these guys. So I have quite a few customers who have said, oh my god, this is just way too big, what can we put in its place? And this is absolutely the perfect solution to that. So I also have had people that have reached out and said to me, Dawn, how on earth do you make the template for the bottom of these cups? Because they're tapered and they don't sit right. And also, how do you press them? So that is absolutely what we're going to do today. We're going to show you, or I'm going to show you, how to create the template, or how I create the template for the bottom of this section. I won't go into details of Photoshop or any other design software. That is something for another day, but I will show you specifically how I create the template and what the PDF looks like in the end. And then we will heat shrink and put it into the oven and see how they come out. So let's give it a go. Okay, so let's start by measuring the cup. So in this case it's a 20-ounce Stanley Dupe or travel cup with handle. So round the middle, I know that the top section of this is straight, so that is 28 centimetres round the top. But if you need to check, you just measure the top and the bottom before the curve. Now, in order to get the other section of this cup, so this section here, which is the section that we want to print on the bottom, we need to make two measurements. So the first measurement we need to take is to the top here. So we are 25 centimetres at the top. We are 24.1 at the bottom. And we also need to take a measurement for this particular section from the bottom of, or from the top, the bottom of this curve, the top, down to the bottom where it curves off. So in this case, we are 7.5. Now we need to go back over to the computer. Okay, so we're back over at the computer on onlinelabels.com and we're on the tapered label generator. So you want to go to millimetres and then enter the details that we figured out before. So the top circumference of the bottom section, the bottom circumference of the bottom section, the height, which we worked out at 7.5, so that's 75 millimetres. We then want to leave it 100% because we don't want any spaces. We want to leave the corners on 0 because we don't want them to be anything but square. We click generate template, enter our email here, and then this will download the PDF to our computer. Now I've gone ahead and taken my template into Photoshop and also created the top section, which is just the height and circumference of the top section that we found out before as well. And I've designed my design. I possibly will do a video on how to create this as a smart object in future videos, but not today. So basically what we do from this point on is we head over to our printer. Okay, so this are the things that you need to get started. So you need your tumbler, you're going to need some heat shrink, something to balance your tumbler on, the design that we've already cut out, some baking paper, a screwdriver to remove the handle, scissors, some heat tape, and most importantly, some heat resistant gloves, because when it comes out of the oven later on, it's going to be incredibly hot. Okay, so first thing we want to do is remove the handle. So there's a hole just here in the handle of the tumbler. We want to pop the screwdriver into the hole, and we just want to undo the screw that holds it onto the cup. Now, once that's released, we just pop that off, and then we want to remove the lid from the tumbler also. So I'm going to pop this onto my cradle, like so. And the next thing you want to do is decide which side of your design at the bottom is going to be the lead side. So in this case, this side is going to be the side that I put to the bottom. So you just want to pop a bit of heat tape along this side. Now what this does is if you have any overlap at all, it's going to sublimate onto the heat tape and not through the paper onto the tumbler, meaning you're not going to get any strange ghosting, but you don't want it to overlap the paper at all because you may create a line that you don't want. So for me, I normally do this, and then I'll wrap it round the bottom of the tumbler, lining it up roughly with the handle. And you just want to create as tight a seal as physically possible, and then pop a bit of tape on. Now you can manipulate this afterwards to make sure that it is absolutely tight enough and exactly where you want it to be. Now on the bottom of these tumblers, I also like to ensure that it's tight to the tumbler and also wraps around the base. Now what I do is just run round every single section of this bottom bit with some heat tape. Now it's completely up to you whether you want to do this, and also it also depends on whether or not there is a design that you need to wrap underneath to avoid any strange white ghosting at the bottom. I just feel that this is the absolute best way to avoid any strange faded bits on the bottom of your tumbler. So I'll be back in a moment once I've done this all the way around. Okay, so that's us round the entire bottom of the tumbler, and you just want to go around and ensure that the design that we've taped down has no raises or bumps or anything like that that could create problems when sublimating the design later on. So the next thing that we want to do, now that we've got all of that taped in place, is we want to put the top design on. So same idea. In this occasion, what I want to do is I just want to pinch it roughly where it is going to need cut. So you can eyeball it. And once you've done that, you simply pop a cut on either side of the tumbler, allowing it to lay flat like so. Now remember, the handle is quite wide, so it won't matter very much at this point because it will be covered up by the handle itself. So we've now created a slice in the design, and again I'm just going to pop some heat tape on that. And again, as tight as we physically can. Now the thing about making sure that it's tight, make sure that there's no air that's able to be free underneath the design, which means that you should get no strange ghosting on your design. Now once we've done that, we'll tuck it all under here. And the next thing I like to do is just to run a couple of pieces of tape around the top, and then one long piece of tape around the very top of the design. Now again, this just ensures that we know that the design is tight at the top and you just roll it over like so. And that there is taped up and ready for the next step. Next we want to take our piece of baking paper and just roll it onto the cup. Now there's no real rhyme or reason to this, just make sure that it's secure to the cup and as tight as physically possible. Now all this is going to do is protect the cup from the heat shrink, just in case it sticks. Cut off the excess at the bottom, and then with a few more pieces of heat tape we are just going to secure that down. Now we pop the heat shrink over our cup, nice and easy. The next step is to take our heat gun. So any heat gun can do. I have this one, but any craft gun, anything that creates heat, even a hairdryer can produce enough heat to heat shrink these. And we just pop on the heat gun and we will shrink down the heat shrink to the cup. Now all this is doing is creating some pressure for when it goes into the oven. Don't worry about the wrinkles on the baking paper. It is going to do absolutely no harm to your cup. What this is doing is just making sure that it's tight. Now as well as that, when it goes into the oven, it's going to become tighter, so it doesn't have to be perfect before it goes in either. So just ensure that it is entirely secure. And you've not created any holes, and now it's ready to go into the oven. Okay, so we're over at my oven. So this is a Little Sage Smart Oven. I say little, it's actually quite big. I'm not sure how big. I'll have to have a look and I'll pop it on the description or on the screen somewhere. Now, this is a little convection / toaster oven that I bought maybe about 3 years ago. And I don't think it has ever let me down. Everything, all sorts goes in it. It has the temperature here, and it's a smart oven. So when it gets the temperature, it will start to count down. And I also keep a little thermometer inside the oven just to double check that the temperature is correct. Now bearing in mind that this is used specifically for sublimation, and I do not put anything else in this oven. It is not for food, it is for sublimation only. Now the temperature I use on these tumblers is 175 degrees C, and I do 7 minutes in the oven, and so far that has been absolutely perfect. Now I can do 1 or 2 at a time, but specifically today we're going to do 1. Okay, so that's my oven up to temperature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this into the oven, and I am going to press the stop button, and as you can see, there we go, we're starting to count down. So So we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so that's it out of the oven. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to remove the heat shrink while it is still hot. Because as it cools down it gets more and more difficult to remove. So we just want to make a slot in the top and start to pull. Now, sometimes it just needs a bit of gentle persuasion. There we go. So just remove the heat shrink from the cup. This one has decided it's going to be incredibly awkward and come off in strips, but you can see what we do. So heat shrink off. Then we want to remove the baking paper. So baking paper, as I said, just creates a protection for the cup. Now we want to remove the paper from our tumbler. Now I find it easier to find a spot to get under where the tape lies and just pull up. There we go. As you can see, it has transferred beautifully onto our tumbler. Now just pop the heat tape at the top. And you see we get a lovely transfer all the way to the edge. The same with the bottom. Find a spot to pull the tape. Now if I pull this tape up here, you will see, just a wee second. So as you can see, anything that was on here will have transferred onto here. And again, we have a lovely design that wraps all the way around the tumbler. And if it happens to be on the edge in any way, shape or form, it will wrap nicely around the bottom as well. So we have absolutely no ghosting on this tumbler, and it has transferred beautifully over onto the cup. So it's still going to be incredibly hot right now, so we will wait a wee minute or two and then put the handle back onto the cup. So if you look here, a lovely transfer right up to the edge because we taped it where we did. And the same along the bottom. Just look how fantastic that came out. So that's us done. The tumbler's ready to be put back together again. So the first thing that we need to do is to relocate the handle back onto the tumbler. So there is a metal section just here. We want to pop the handle over and then the screwdriver into the hole and tighten it up until it is tight enough that the screw can no longer be turned. Okay, that's it nice and tight. And then we want to pop the lid back onto the tumbler, like so. And that's us, ready to go. How cute is that? Okay, I hope you all enjoyed our tutorial today on the mini 20-ounce Stanley dupe. It is absolutely fantastic. The colours look amazing when done. As always, please hit the like and subscribe button, ring the bell. That'll let you know when we have other videos uploaded to our channel. And if there is absolutely anything that you would like me to cover on my channel, please just drop me a message, leave it in the comments, and I will certainly have a look at that. Until next time, see you later. Bye!